Welcome to the Strong Enough Podcast, your relationship wellness podcast. I'm your host, Claudia. Today's guest is going to share with us how a rough upbringing in Philadelphia, surrounded by friends and family who were addicted to drugs and going to jail, actually gave him the strength, the integrity, and the work ethic to become a successful lead singer in a band. He's also going to share with us how he continues to put his family first. Please help me in welcoming the lead singer of Adelita's Way, Rick DeJesus. It looks like you're at a car dealership. So
yeah,
I appreciate you making it today. That's amazing.
Of course. Well, that's technology for you, right? I could still get stuff done and effective. I could use my time effectively.
Yes. Well, that's what we've learned from COVID. Well, I won't beat around the bush. We can jump right in pretty quickly. Basically, what I want to do is, kind of talk through your history, how the band got started, and then kind of move into your life now, how you deal with kids and an amazing wife while you're on the road, things like that.
Of course.
Is there anything that you don't want me to talk about? Because I think there might be one thing, and so I don't want to mention it because I don't want to talk about how you got to Vegas originally.
That's fine. No, I am who I am. It is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like you don't really ever talk about that, and I don't want to.
Well, it's just because it didn't really affect my career at all. Like, it wasn't like a stepping stone of any sort, right? I guess the stepping stone it was getting me to the West Coast.
Right.
And it didn't even get me here comfortably. So, I was still, even when I got out here, I was still struggling when I got to West Coast to get where I am. So I think I have no problem embracing my story, right? My everything that I've gone through. But sometimes people think if you're on TV or if, that was the break or that was the stepping stone. And for us, it did none of those things. It was just getting here was as difficult as it could be.
Well, I always thought you were a really smart businessman in that aspect, because that's what I thought. Like, you were using it to just get there. And I was like, you know what? Like, that's a smart dude to just take an opportunity and have that get him to a place where he's trying to go, like even just a physical location. So,
well, exactly. Well, getting me out of Philadelphia, which is known to be quite ghetto and a lot of sadness there for me. A lot of my friends dying from drug overdoses, a lot of just sad memories. Getting out of there was key. And it did help me get out of there. And also too, so what we're referring to, should I just talk about it? I was on VH1 Strip Search. I ended up winning the show and being in a show out here in Las Vegas. And the one cool thing that I did with that was my first 2 months of paychecks is what I used to record my first demo ever, which had the song Brother on it, which ended up being on our debut album. So, I did invest the money that I worked for into furthering my career in a sense of, taking my income and creating music with it.
Absolutely. And that's what I appreciated kind of about your whole story is, that you took something and made it into what you wanted it to be. Because I know some of the people that you were with in the group that you ended up in Vegas didn't fare so well. They really struggled and seemed to turn to the dark side of Vegas. And you took the opportunity and made it into eventually what you needed it to be.
Oh yeah, I think that you could certainly let Las Vegas conquer you if you come out here and you get really caught up in the nightlife and you get caught up in just that lifestyle of just drinking and partying and staying out all night. You could find yourself with a bit of a history that doesn't favor you. So I'm happy I never let it. I always use Vegas as a tool to thrive. I use the energy and electricity of this city to fuel my songwriting, to fuel my performances, and to use it as a hub to perform and as a hub to build a following and a great fan base. So I never used it for. I've had a couple of crazy nights out here, obviously.
Who hasn't?
But I never let it really define me. I never really got caught up in the nightlife here.
So, we got you to Vegas, but let's back up a little bit and let's talk a little bit more about Philly. I know you said, it wasn't a great place for you. You struggled there in that you saw a lot of your friends going down a path that you knew wasn't going to be the right path for you to reach success. So, can you talk a little bit about growing up there and kind of that transition that you made or decided to make to get out of there?
Growing up in Philly, it made me strong and made me tough. I have a lot of tough friends. We went through a lot of hardships. We didn't have much money. My father is very hardworking. He worked 50, 60 hours a week, and he was a brilliant man. But at the end of the day, we lived in the area we lived because my parents' lived close to it, but it wasn't the best area to grow up in. So we were surrounded by ghettos. It was a tough lifestyle. I was a very laid back, easygoing guy, but I always found myself having to fight for what was mine and defend myself all the time. I watched a lot of my close friends pass away from drug overdoses because it seems like a bit of a wasteland in Philadelphia, right? Especially when we're in a bit of a suburb of it, you almost feel like to make time go by, people are trying different drugs. People are getting addicted to Oxycontins, Percocets, prescription pills. Heroin is a big killer in Philadelphia. So my youth was just riddled with sadness. A lot of people that I was playing touch football with growing up on the street as a kid, they're now addicted to heroin and overdosing and dying. So it was pretty rough to learn about death that early and to see people throw their lives away that early. And I think it motivated me to not be another statistic, another casualty. I was always very motivated to get out of Philadelphia and start a new life somewhere. And pretty much why I packed my bags and traveled all the way across 3,000 miles to the West Coast. But, I have two brothers that are addicted to heroin and it ruined their lives. And I think they're a product of Philadelphia doing that to them also, getting caught up with the wrong people, getting caught up with a life of crime.
So, with your friends and even your family getting caught up in that, how did you avoid it?
I avoided it by staying very active in sports. I avoided it by, I was raised well. I had great parents, and I always had a brighter head on my shoulder, right? I never, I don't know. I used to use them as examples. I used to use them as what not to be, right? I always used to focus on that ain't going to be me. I'm not going to be that guy. I was just bred a little different. And I was always like that with my mentality on things. Like even my parents put me in sports when I was younger. I was a baseball player for 20 years. And I had the same kind of killer mentality that I transitioned from baseball into music, where I was all in. I was absolutely just committed. And I almost had blinders on. So my work ethic comes from, I think, wanting to provide a better life for myself and for my family. And I think my work ethic and my desire comes from seeing what I don't want. And I learned a lot about what I don't want living in Philadelphia.
I think that's amazing because, a lot of people, they go one of two paths. They either go in, the same way that they see their family doing, whether it's from abuse, addiction, whatever the case may be, or they go absolutely the polar opposite. It seems like there's never an in between. So I think it's great that you took that to turn it into your work ethic today. That's really clear to me from a lot of the songs that you write, because even, as you go through the years, you've got songs that talk about being tough, keep on fighting, I'm still hungry, like you're never going to give up. So is that inspiration coming from your childhood and that growing up? Is it all still coming from there?
A lot of it. And also too, being underestimated. I can't tell you from music, from sports, from fighting, from whether it's wrestling, basketball, baseball. I feel like every time I'm always underestimated, always. And I have been my whole life, oddly. I never understood it. I never understood how people can just constantly underestimate other humans. And I'm a problem when it comes to athletics, when it comes to this industry, when it comes to, and I mean in a good way. I step out on a basketball court and they sleep on me all the time, and then I'm an issue. I get out there, I score buckets, I play defense. Baseball, I come up, people would pitch to me like I was just another player, and I'd make them pay for that. And The same with bullies. I had people try to bully me my whole life, and you know what? They paid the ultimate price, by getting embarrassed. So it's a common theme in my life, underestimation. People underestimate me, and I've always been someone that's been able to rise above the occasion and show what I'm made of. And I bring that into the music too. Everything I talk about and I sing about is real, 100% through experience, and I'm willing to back up, talk the talk and walk the walk. And I have been able to do that since I was a kid.
Yeah. And I think that's great. And, back to growing up tough and, going through some rough times, the way that your band actually started and got its name was kind of an equally rough time, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so the front end of this story is I was going to LA to sing a cappella for Britney Spears' manager, Larry Rudolph. He discovered me. He saw the talent. I performed for him at 9 a.m. And then I went to go try to check into the hotel. And in hotels in LA, for some reason, they don't ever let you check in until, 4 p.m., 4 p.m. And I did this. I'm getting in my lift. Sorry. I did this. I checked into the hotel at 4 p.m. and I'm Rick. Thank you. I checked into the hotel and they wouldn't let me check in. They wouldn't allow me to do it. So they pretty much said, you've got to kill time. So I drove to what I thought was a beach in San Diego, and we're crossing the border into Mexico. And before I know it, we're getting arrested by the Mexican police. We got robbed. We got extorted. But in my journey, I met a young girl who was my age at the time. And at that time I was going through a tough time, right? I was trying to make it. I was living in a car, making music. And I met this girl who was my age, and she had been a prostitute since she was 12 years old. And her sharing her story with me affected me. And it made me realize that what I was going through wasn't so tough compared to what other people go through. And it made me realize that I have to have a better perspective on life instead of feeling bad for myself, instead of always kind of having my head down, instead of thinking about the negatives all the time. I started focusing on the positives and focusing on how grateful I am. So her story really affected me. And I named the band after the place that I met her, which was a bar called Adelita's in Mexico.
That's so cool. I mean, that's a good story. You hear a lot of different stories that how bands got their name, but I think that's probably one of the coolest. So now we're in Vegas, and you're making your music. Things are going well. I know that you guys have gone through a couple different band members, and a lot of people talk about band as family. So was that tough for you guys as a family to go through in losing people and getting some new people along the way?
No, because you learn quickly that the train keeps on rolling, right? You've got to. There are some people that are not built for what you're going through. There are some people that can't go through the trials and tribulations that you go through on the road. There are some people that they want more out of the project. The bottom line is Adelita's Way is my band. I've written every song that the band's ever had for over a decade. So that's over 60 songs that I've written all the lyrics and melodies to. And sometimes you get people that join your band and they want to write the lyrics and melodies, or they think they're better, or they think it should be more about them. The band should be more about them. And I'm not saying the band is about me, but I always step up and deliver when it's necessary, and I just think the member changes is a part of being in a band. I think people get emotional. I think the music industry also is to blame for that. I think sometimes it's not everything people dreamed of, right? Mm-hmm. People have joined my band. They want to be in a bus. They want to be living the good life, but you've got to go through the struggles first. You've got to go through the trials and tribulations. And a lot of band members who left my band weren't willing to go through that work and weren't willing to go through that time to get to where we are now, honestly. And for me, I'm more grateful that I've had Trevor, my drummer, for the whole time. Mm-hmm. He's been in the band with me since day one. And I'm more focused on the guys that are putting the time in, are putting the work in. This current lineup that I have right now feels like family to me. And the other guys in the past, I never built enough of a bond with them to feel like a family. It was always kind of come and go a little bit, right? Because and it always seemed to be guitar players. It always seemed to be a guitar player because guitar players, they want to be more involved, right? They don't like it when the singer's writing the guitar riff. They don't like it, but sometimes I had to write the guitar riff. with a melody, right? Because no one's delivering. If I'm in the studio and we're producing a song and we're looking for a guitar riff and I'm hearing a bunch of riffs and they're not good enough, and I have to come in and say, why don't we do this? You know, if I have to write it or I have to get a guitar out and play it myself, that's a problem. You know, I shouldn't have to do that, but I had to so many times in our career. And it's either put up or shut up is what I'm saying. You know, a lot of these guys talk the talk and then they don't walk the walk. They talk about how great they are. They want to write more songs. They want to be this, that, and the other thing. And then the opportunity comes and they don't deliver. So that's my perspective of some of the members that were in this band. You know, they would talk about it and not be about it.
And I think, you know, with your intensity level and the level of work ethic that you have, you want people that are going to match that intensity and that work ethic to be a part of your family.
That's Trevor. That's my drummer. My drummer has matched my work ethic since day one. And that's why we built this thing. And that's why I'm proud to have him be a part of this. That's why I take care of him. That's why, you know, the guys that are in my group right now, I take care of them the best that I can. I do everything that I can to make them feel loved and to make them feel appreciated. And I'm grateful that I'm in a position now after 13 years of touring the world and making records, that I'm in a position now where I can really impact an entire crew of people's lives just by treating them well and including them in everything. So like I said, this feels like a family right now. This lineup feels fantastic to me. And I'm grateful that I get to share the stage with my current lineup.
So let's talk about your family, transitioning from your band family. So, you know, you've already mentioned you're a husband, you're a dad. Tell me what it has been like for you to have the work ethic, the intensity level that you have, and still ensure that you make time for your kids, for your wife, for your family unit.
Well, I 100% make time for my children, and it's just very important for me to be a great dad. And I adjust my whole schedule around it, the way I record, the way that I tour. You know, we only tour about 4 months out of the year now, and that's enough for me. That's enough for us to go and play every city once or twice and see our fans. And, you know, we tour the world once every 2 years, and I've got it down to a system. I've got it down to a science, and there's nothing more important than my children having great memories and spending quality time with me. And I'm a very attentive dad. I go to all their things, from dance practice. I'm a dance dad. I'm a soccer dad. I really, really give my kids the attention that I know they need, and I raise them right. So it's just for me, one of the highest priorities in my life is to be a great father and a great husband. But I make the time, and I make sure that there's rewards that come behind all the hard work that my family puts in. You know, if I go on the road for 3 weeks, I like to fly home every Monday, Tuesday. I like to take off. And then when I get there at home, 100% of my undivided attention goes to my family. I'm not very scattered. You know, even when I record, I pretty much only record here in Las Vegas. Our producer flies here. We build a studio, and we create songs in Vegas. I take lunch breaks with my family. I do dinner breaks with them. They come up to the Strip. They meet me. We all go out to dinner together, and they're just a part of the process as much as they can be. Sometimes my wife's like, the kids are tired. We're not coming, you know. But for the most part, they're very included in my life. My daughters know that their dad is a musician and an artist, and I think they appreciate me accomplishing my dreams and showing them that dreams are possible, right? And I already see it in them that they know anything's possible in this world, because they have a perfect example of someone who worked hard, persevered through all the roadblocks. I mean, no one handed me this. I feel like everyone fought me on this. I feel like from the minute I entered the music industry, the tastemakers told me that it wasn't going to happen. The industry didn't want to let us in. No one stepped up and said, we believe in this band. It's just been 13 years of grinding and proving everyone wrong. And here we are. You know, we've got 200 million streams independently on our music. We've got millions of records sold. And I think at this point now, all those tastemakers, that while not really included in helping us succeed, I think they've given up on trying to be a part of us not succeeding, you know, bad-mouthing us, saying that band's not going to make it. I think now they have to look and say, well, yeah, we didn't think it was going to happen, but obviously numbers don't lie.
Absolutely. So You said, you're the dance dad, you're the everything dad. So do your kids, you said they know you're a musician, but do they know you're a rock star? I mean, let's be
They,
honest.
they do. They do. They look up to me, and they are very, very loving to me, and they're very proud of me, and they know exactly what I do. And they know, they've seen me play in front of 60,000 people, and they've seen what I do, and they're very proud of me. And I think that's one of the most validating things. You could want to be a rock star to be cool for a bunch of strangers or a bunch of girls or a bunch of people you don't know, but to be a rock star for your children and for your family, I think is the most validating thing of all. So for me, I love that they know that what I do, and they know that I'm special at what I do.
Do you run into that when you're out and about, like with them? Do you have any issues, especially in Vegas, because there's a ton of tourists there, if you're in Vegas proper? So is that an issue for you where you're kind of like this all the time, so people aren't coming up to you, or how do you deal with that?
Well, it's not even an issue. I'm very grateful for all of our fans. So when someone does recognize me, I just make sure that I live up to the standard that I hold myself to, and I live up to the experience that they're hoping for when they meet somebody they're looking up to. So whenever it happens all the time. Yes, I can be anywhere, and somebody will say, I don't want to bother you, but I just wanted to come say hi, and I just want to make sure that their experience when they meet me is everything they hoped it would be. I take the picture, I engage with them. I don't make it all about myself. I ask them about them. And I just make it an experience that I want them to remember. I want them to walk away and say, that's the kind of guy that I want to look up to. That's the kind of guy I want my kids to look up to. That's the kind of guy I want to be jamming out to at the gym. That's the kind of guy, this guy's the real deal. When they meet me and they feel my presence and they feel my energy and my, just my strength. And I want them to recognize that when they listen to a song like What It Takes or I Will Not Be Stopped, that the guy singing the song is everything that they thought he was going to be.
That's amazing. I love that. Do you feel like, let's talk about your wife for a second, who, by the way, is absolutely gorgeous. She is amazing. Lucky guy here. How does she deal with all this?
Very lucky.
How does she deal with, you being that rock star?
I think she does a great job. I think she keeps her life very private. She stays out of the whole scene. She's very private. She likes our family to be very private. I respect that. She is supportive. She was with me before any of this happened, right? We've been together for so long that she was at my first show that I've ever played in my whole career. So I have a real love, and that's great to know. It would be, I couldn't imagine what it would be like having to start over from this point with everything that I have now. Like, you don't know if someone's loving you for you. You don't know if someone is after your money. You don't know if someone is after any clout or whatever it may be. Whatever I have, independently in the independent scene, I feel like we're starting to build definitely a clout, right? So my wife does a great job. And I know it's real love, and I have these two beautiful kids with her. So she's a fantastic mother, which is a major priority for me. I wanted to marry someone that was going to be a great family-oriented woman, and I couldn't ask for anyone better. Family is first to her, and you could tell in our life that family is first because we're very engaged with all of our families as a whole. I'm very close with my in-laws. I'm very close with her entire family. And that's what I was looking for out of marriage, right? That's what I wanted to be with someone for. I wanted to be with a best friend who I could, do all kinds of family-oriented outings with. And that's what I got. So I'm very, very lucky, man.
So everybody has ups and downs in their relationships, and particularly in marriage. I've had conversations with people who, we talk about the fairy tale of how some people think relationships shouldn't be work. They shouldn't be effort. What's your take on that?
My take is everything takes effort. All great things take hard work. All great things take compromise. All great things take you've got to be willing to fight for the people you love. It's too easy to quit, right? And there's been many times, right? I've been with my wife for 13 years, and there's many times that she could have quit on me and that I could have quit on her, I'm sure. And it was just never an option. And it would be the biggest regret of my life if I didn't stand through any tough times that we've gone through, and my two beautiful children wouldn't exist. And it would just blow my mind to think about an alternate life or alternate universe where that was the case. I just think that if you're not willing to fight for love, if you're not willing to fight for your marriage, then there's a chance that every marriage you have could fail, because nobody's perfect, nothing's perfect. And you could just find yourself in a cycle of continual, like Kim Kardashian, right? I mean, what's she on, like her sixth marriage? I mean, if you're not willing to really battle and fight, that's what it looks like for you. It's very easy to get divorced. It's very hard to stay committed and stay married.
That is so incredibly true. Do you see yourself living out your life in Vegas? Do you see yourself, going somewhere else when your kids get a little bit older? What are you guys thinking about that?
I foresee me always having equity in Vegas, always owning a home here. I'll probably retire here. If I want to go try somewhere else, we probably will. But at this point, we're, like we talked about earlier, I'm very business savvy. I have investments. I make my money work for me. So with that said, I plan on owning properties in multiple places, and there's a couple places that we've got on our mind that we like. I really love a couple places in Arizona that are beautiful, that are developing still, that I'm looking at land at. I really love Newport Beach is a place that I'm looking at potentially getting an investment property, and just on the business side of things, I could spend a few years in some of these places and eventually come back to Vegas, but Las Vegas is in the picture.
So you like hot weather. That's obvious by the places that you named. It's really hot here today. It's like 75. So I don't know what to do about that. So I want to talk a little bit about how COVID has been for you, because obviously you guys have started touring again, but for a while you didn't. So how did that feel for you as a musician and then as a family man?
Well, I was really bothered by how local businesses were affected. So I spent most of COVID trying to support local businesses. I moved all of my finances, just supporting local everything. I really it took the time and embraced it to spend more time with my family and to be in the studio. So for us, 2020 didn't go to waste. We recorded a whole new album. We did 37 live streams for our fans, which we hear every day how much it helped them get through the pandemic. And we actually played 17 outdoor events and outdoor festivals because the information that was given us. And right away they said, look, this thing can't live outside. I couldn't quite understand why people were hesitant to believe this. But we trusted that right away, and trusted logic that, the atmosphere can certainly handle a particle. So we played 17 live events outside. We did 37 live streams, and we recorded a whole new album. So my focus for the band, we made progress, and we really took advantage of 2020 and adjusted and adapted. But emotionally, I was more concerned for local businesses, for people who were really affected by the pandemic, for anybody that lost their business, for close family and friends who were struggling, who had been laid off. So that was more where my stress a little bit came from internally, because I don't just care about myself, I feel like a lot of the struggle in 2020 came from maybe other people having some hardships.
Speaking of that struggle, I saw a clip that you did, and it's okay to not be all right. And I was wondering, is that something that you specifically have dealt with as far as a mental health struggle, or did you just want to put that out there in general for the masses to just try to break down that stigma?
Just one time. I felt emotionally like I was had some form of imbalance going on, right? And I could identify it. I felt it. And it was in 2013 when the record label was kind of holding my finances hostage. Mm-hmm. They essentially owed me money and they were holding on to it. So I was very, very broke for 3 or 4 months while I was making a record, because they were holding it hostage over my head, saying, you need to write these certain type of songs or you're not going to get paid. And it really depressed me, right? I was in a really low place because I had a baby at that time, Presley, my daughter, and I couldn't feed her. I couldn't even afford to feed her. And it was really hard on me because I'm a provider, and they weren't allowing us to tour. They weren't allowing me to do anything.
let's dive back into, you were talking a little bit about 2013, the issues that you experienced when you were kind of being held hostage by your record label. So what was that struggle like for you?
It was rough. It was probably the worst experience of my life, honestly. That's what I'm saying. When I did the "It's okay to not be okay," I felt what that felt like, right? I felt what it's like to mentally feel a little bit drained and a little bit weak, and also almost, it's like you have demons living inside of your mind, right? It's like you could feel these negative energies, these entities that are just horrendous. And what it does, it comes with feeling unsatisfied with yourself, right? You start hating yourself. You start feeling like you're not living up to your own expectation of yourself. And, people need to know that they're not alone. People need to know that they're, sometimes you feel like, am I the only one that's going through this struggle? Am I the only one? And I think it's not the case. And I think the most important part of that is understanding that so many people have overcome this and beaten these demons and defeated these demons. These demons are not as strong as you may think they are when you're dealing with them.
So, you said, and one thing I really relate to about the depression is that you feel alone. You feel like nobody understands you. I've kind of described it before as feeling like I'm drowning, but I don't even know what I'm drowning in. And it's hard to get through that. So when you went through this in 2013, I mean, that was not a long time ago, but long enough ago that mental health still was more of a stigma. So did you have trouble at that time opening up?
No, I honestly approached it very, very candidly. And I think that helped me get through it. And I really turned to faith. I really just kept putting my faith in God. And for me, I'm very grateful to be on this earth. I'm very grateful to have this opportunity to live this life. And I just kept going back to that. I kept going back to my gratitude for being created and my gratitude for getting to wake up every day and breathe the air. I started noticing the small things. I started focusing more on taking breaths and people I loved. And I started focusing more on love instead of being selfishly thinking about what I didn't have or what wasn't going well. I started focusing on all the love I had in my life, all the people in my life, my parents, my family. And I noticed that once I turned to faith, I have a pretty crazy story. I mean, I turned so heavily to faith that in one of my dreams, it was pretty intense. In one of my dreams, an angel of God's, like a warrior, came and essentially slaughtered these demons that were haunting me. And I never heard from them again. So I don't know. Obviously that's pretty crazy. But I speak very candidly about these kind of things. It really happened. It was a dream of mine. And I noticed that the depression was gone. So for me, I was the answer to how I got out of it was faith and love and family. I didn't fall in deeper into holes. People turn to medication, people turn to alcohol, people think that money will solve everything. And for me, it was just going back to being grateful to being on earth. It was going back to being grateful to have all these people that love me and care about me. And I was able to rise above it. And look, it's not like I never had to hear from a demon again, or I never had to experience these voices or experience these entities on earth. They're real. They exist. All kinds of people have things telling them they should, that they're not worth what they think they are, whatever your mind, it's almost a subconscious, but it's not, I believe a demon, right? And you realize that they're not in physical form. They're pretty weak. If a demon dropped down right in front of me right now and was like 6'8", 300 pounds, I might be saying something differently, but I've experienced these and I find that they're pretty weak.
Is there anything that you still do today or like an ongoing practice to kind of keep your wellness in check?
Oh, I'm all about wellness and health. I do yoga 3 times a week. I breathe. The first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I drink 32 ounces of electrolyte waters with amino acids. My diet is on point. I play basketball in 2 basketball leagues. I train hard for athletics. I work hard in the studio. I notice that breathing and focusing and meditation, and then I have friends that I can talk to about anything. That's very important. I have my wife, I have my best friend in Philadelphia, And then I have my drummer, Trevor, here. And I could tell that crew of people anything I'm thinking, anything I'm going through, and get great advice. I'm surrounded by great people. So health and wellness is very important to me.
That's awesome. And, I find a lot of people that have dealt with depression or deal with depression or anxiety, physical wellness is very important. And it sounds like that's true for you as well. So if you were telling somebody, what are a couple things they could do to just relax and make their mind a little better and a little more even keeled, what would that advice be?
I'll give a couple pieces of advice. I would get, and this is just, it could be unpopular opinion or popular opinion to anyone who's listening. And I would get the U version of the Bible, and I would do a daily prayer to realize that God loves you, that your time on earth is precious. I would also start focusing on exercising. Exercising gets out a lot of that angst that you're holding in. Another thing I would do is I would talk to people about it. I would talk to people that you could trust, people that aren't judging you, people that love you, and tell them the truth. Don't hide anything. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I thought about killing myself the other day. And you don't have to do it for any form of attention or any form of someone being like, oh, like you could do it just to get it off for yourself, because sometimes you think wrong with you for thinking, just good to surround yourself more instead of isolating yourself, falling in a deeper hole. It's good for you to talk to people that you love, talk to people that love you. It's good to exercise, put more water in your body, breathe. It's all about breathing. Focus on your breath, focus on your deep breath in and out. Maybe try some yoga, take care of your body.
I never realized you were so zen. So that's pretty cool to me to learn something new about you. So give me some relationship advice. So if you're going to talk to people about, you've got a successful marriage, you've got a great little family, throw some relationship advice out to the listeners and the viewers.
Well, you got to check yourself. You've got to understand when you're being irrational. You've got to understand that communication is the key. You need to talk about things. You don't need to talk about everything. You need to talk about things that are real, that are bothering you. You need to compromise. I think there's plenty of times where you could just ruin a whole day. You could just be in a funk. You could just be taking everything personally. You could ruin a whole day. Don't do that. Don't do that. Let it go. Let go of whatever anger you're holding and let go. Enjoy the day. Appreciate the day with your family and your loved ones. I think don't harbor any form of resentment. Resentment can kill a relationship, and lack of communication can kill a relationship. I think talking about the important issues is important. And I also think about you're there to make the fun that's planned. They have a night out on the town and they end up fighting. They have a vacation they go on, they end up fighting all vacation. You can't do that stuff. You're there to make great memories and experience. I never do that kind of stuff. I am not a fun ruiner. I'm not a night ruiner, a moment ruiner. Or even if I'm watching the kids for 8 hours and my wife goes out with her girlfriends and comes in at 1 a.m, I'm not waiting there at 1 a.m. feeling any type of way. I'm not sitting there thinking, how can I make her feel uncomfortable? I know the work she puts in with my kids. I know everything that it takes to be a parent. So on those nights where you're out together or they're experiencing a fun night out with their friends, you've got to be supportive, and you've got to be someone that doesn't ruin fun times or fun memories. You've always got to be willing to move past things and just experience great times together. I don't know. I just see a lot of that. I see a lot of self-sabotaging going on in relationships.
I agree 100%. And one common theme that I noticed that you talked about when it came to mental health and relationship advice is communication, that it's just really important to talk to people, about how you're feeling and not be a fun ruiner. I'm now forever going to think of you as the not fun ruiner.
I will never, I have on my record, I have 0 nights of fun ruined. I never, even if something's really pissing me off, I'm like, let it go.
I love that. Well,
moving along.
Normally, I end these conversations with a little bit of tattoo talk because I am covered in tattoos. I love tattoos. I like to collect tattoos. You're not covered in tattoos though. So
How do you know that?
Well, okay. So let's talk tattoos for a minute.
Yeah, I'm covered in tattoos.
Okay. Well, fair enough. Tell me.
I'm not completely covered, but I'm pretty covered. My whole back is done. I have a tattoo on my hip.
I do remember the back now. I do remember that. So tell me, what is your favorite tattoo that you have?
I love all my tattoos. I think that the two on my back resemble my faith in God and my gratitude for life on earth. And it's one is a cross at the top of my back that says one life. It reminds me that we live an eternal life, and that we've got to have gratitude for every day that we're here. The other one is the angel on my back. It's my guide. It's my this angel's protected me through thick and thin, and has been there for me. And I could tell stories about that too. I almost got hit by a car one time. I was not paying attention, and my subconscious saved my life. I was about to step right out in front of a vehicle that was doing 50, and I wasn't paying attention. I was on my phone, and I was running across the street. And the angel that I know is on my back was what saved me. It stopped me in my tracks. It said, "Whoa," and I didn't run out. And then I'm branded. I've got my wife's name on my hip, and she also has my name on hers. So we branded each other, and I'm proud of that. I'm not. For me, it's just a symbol of my love. So yeah, I've got the one on my back is the angel on my back. It covers my whole back essentially.
I do. Now that you mentioned that, I do vaguely remember that from way times ago. So you and your wife have each other's names on you. So you're bucking the trend that is a relationship killer. So I love that you're like, no,
13 years. 13 years.
Any plans for upcoming tattoos?
Sure. I'll eventually continue to go on my back, but right now it's tough when you've got kids, you've got a family to prioritize spending $500 to $1,000 on some ink when I've got just so many other things that I've got to do. Right. I've family vacations, schooling for my children, savings. Yeah, I'm getting older now. So sometimes my tattoo money goes into an IRA. I don't know.
That's probably a better way to spend that tattoo money. So again, the businessman in you coming out. And sure. I've
got to see something I love, right? I've got to be inspired. So maybe when I wake up and I have that super inspiring idea, or when I see a piece of art that I just have to have on me,
Love it.
It'll happen.
Absolutely love it. Well, Rick, I am so grateful that you decided to hang out with me for a little while today to talk about relationships. The fact that you had to Uber or Lyft, whichever, during this interview is like fantastic. I know that you really work hard to connect with your fans. You're very active on social media. You really, you communicate back and forth with people. So if somebody isn't already following you, where can they find you guys?
Adelita's Way, everywhere. Instagram, Adelita's Way, Facebook, Adelita's Way, Adelita'sWayMusic.com. I just want to take a minute to thank our fans for making our dreams come true. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to be here. Word of mouth is the most powerful way. Obviously, the industry has ignored us for a decade, and our fans continue to step up, spread the word, and we continue to grow. So word of mouth spreads. Keep doing it. For anybody that doesn't know who we are, that's checking this out, we're one of the best bands in music today. I can confidently say that. We have over 500 million streams on our songs, 200 million independently. Give us a listen, and I know there's something in the bats that is for you.
I completely agree. And you guys are always in my workout mix, 200%. So yes, if you have not listened to Rick and the band Adelita's Way, please check them out. We'll make sure to get your links on the screen for everybody as well. So Rick, I hope that you have an amazing day. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
You too. Thank you so much. It was great.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that car ride we took around Vegas with Rick, and hearing him talk about his passion for his music and also the passion and intensity that he has for his family. I know I learned some great things from him, and I hope you guys did as well. So remember, until next week, you are strong enough and you are worth it. Thank you for listening to the Strong Enough podcast. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform by searching Strong Enough. And on YouTube, we're available on the Spear Talk channel. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at strongenoughpod. If you have suggestions for an upcoming episode or a future guest, please reach out at strongenoughpod@gmail.com. Remember, you are worth it.